This episode of Dopey is brought to you by our friends at Oro Recovery. They're located in sunny Southern California, in Malibu, somewhere in Western Los Angeles. They were created by our friend Bob Forrest and his friends, Evan, Jared, and Bob. Their mission, to create a treatment center that helps addicts and alcoholics by means of compassion and connection rather than control. The staff there has decades of experience in treating mental health problems, including SMI, co-occurring disorders, all that stuff. They make sure that your stay and your detox is as comfortable as possible. I just heard from somebody who's at Oro right now who said this ad got her there and she's doing so much better and she's grateful. And they have amenities you wouldn't believe. Sound bath meditation, equine therapy, yoga, the potentially spiritually transformative sweat lodge. If you're fucked and you're willing to go to sunny Southern California, I highly suggest going to Oro. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by our very good friends at Sober Buddy. What is Sober Buddy? It is an app. It is an app on your phone that works as a sober buddy. If you have time or you're sober curious, it gives you pros and cons, it gives you challenges, and it gives you a free sober tracker. Sober Buddy checks in with you to see how your sobriety is on a daily basis. I actually use Sober Buddy every day, no joke. And in a minute, they're going to have a live community in Sober Buddy. So go get the free tracker, sign up at yoursoberbuddy.com, or go to the App Store or the Google Play Store for your Sober Buddy. This episode of Dopey is brought to you by Evolution Accounting and Consulting. If you need an accountant, you go to Evolution Accounting and Consulting. They've helped tons of people to set up their payroll, to do their taxes. They make sure that your shit is on point. If you need an accountant, you go to www.evolution-accounting.com. This guy, Eric, has been a Dopey sponsor for years. He is one of us. He is a fucking crackhead in recovery. So I have to say it again and again and again. If you need an accountant, use the promo code Dopey and you go to www.evolution-accounting.com for all accounting needs. So you can pursue your dreams while the accountant takes care of everything else. One more time, go there, www.evolution-accounting.com. Before we get into the show, I want to tell you guys about a great recovery podcast called Recovery in the Middle Ages, a podcast about two middle-aged suburban dads and their pursuit of life, love, and recovery. I'm friends with one of the hosts, Nat. He's a great guy. Listen to the show. They discuss topics all about recovery, things that are recovery adjacent, things that are important to people in recovery, 12-step, alt recovery, the newest medical research, and they talk about their daily struggle to maintain their recovery and their anonymity in the world of soccer moms, PTA meetings, all that stuff. If the neighbors only knew. You can find Recovery in the Middle Ages wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You know those places, Spotify, Apple, all those spots. Fucking Podbean. It's all over the place. Or go to middleagesrecovery.com and check it out. Now, enough with the ads. Here's the show. Hello and welcome to Dopey, the podcast on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. And my name is Dave, and I have a lot of things to talk about. The first one is I'm sick. I'm fucking sick. So I'm sick at home, which I always claim to enjoy, and the truth is I do enjoy it. Yesterday I had a big interview, and I prepared hard for this interview, and it's not the interview on today's show. Today's show is with Barstool Sports, Jersey Jerry, and I'm not going to tell you who I was preparing for, but I swear to God, I prepared for weeks for the interview I did yesterday. I got tired. I put a lot of energy into it. It was awesome. You'll hear it next week, but I went downstairs, hung out with Linda and Susan. I'm like, we were supposed to have company this weekend, so we were cleaning shit up, cleaning up our inflatable pool, weeding and shit, doing whatever had to be done. And then Linda's dad came over, and then I put Susan to bed. And then there's this weird quail that's in our next door neighbor. It's I forgot what kind of quail it is. Hold on for 1 sec. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to Google types of quails. I know you guys aren't that interested in what kind of quail we have. Type of quails. It's a northern bobwhite quail. And it sounded like a parrot, sounded like a parakeet, but no, it was a northern bobwhite quail, and we chased it into the neighbor's yard, and it lives here now, and we like it. Looks like a little chicken, kind of. Anyway, I put Susan to bed, and when I came out of Susan's room, my head was killing me. I took Tylenol PM, because I'm done with Benadryl. I'm done with Benadryl. Last week, we did a Dopey Patreon Zoom, and there's a woman named Evisa, and she told me there was a study at Harvard, and that Benadryl makes people have dementia. So I'm done with Benadryl. I switched to melatonin, but last night I didn't take melatonin because my head hurt so much. I know you guys are really interested in this. I took Tylenol PM, went to bed at 9, woke up sick, feverish, have a fever, watched Aladdin with Susan, let Linda sleep in this morning, and then I just went to bed, turned on the TV, and what was on but Dazed and Confused. And I turned it on, and I was like, I don't want to watch this. I've seen this movie so many times, I know it by heart. But then I decided, and then I started looking around what else was on, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to watch Dazed and Confused. And it's so good. I'm sure, most of you guys have seen Dazed and Confused. I enjoyed it so much that I kind of cried during it. I cried during it because Dazed and Confused is, I watched it when I had first become a stoner. I think I've told this story on Dopey. We went to see it in Ithaca, 5 of us, me, Ryan, Todd, DK, and Zev, all of whom have been on Dopey. And we went to see Dazed and Confused, and we all had a pipe. And we all smoked weed in the movie theater together. And then, I watched that movie over and over again. And it's such an innocent movie. And it was so innocent for us. And the innocence is gone now, right? The innocence is gone. Todd died of an overdose, as you guys know. Chris died of an overdose. And this week was also Overdose Awareness Day. And I kind of don't even look at that stuff because it just feels like every day is Overdose Awareness Day when you're a heroin addict in recovery and you've had a lot of friends die, right? Last week we had a new listener who just died. But I want to change shit up a little bit. Yes, it's Overdose Awareness Week, but I want to celebrate a little recovery. There is a person in the Dopey Nation who's very active in the Dopey Nation, but I don't remember ever talking to him. And if I did, I apologize right now. But I want to celebrate him. His name is Axel, and this week he got 4 years clean and sober, I think. I'm trying to put on the applause. There it is. And he posted this to Facebook, and I'm going to read it. Yeah, that applause is, I don't know. What do you guys think of that applause? And write an email if you're celebrating an anniversary, and write an email if you've seen Dazed and Confused and you disagree, or you've never seen it. Our email is dopeypodcast@gmail.com. All right, this is Axel's post. 4 years ago, I was at my absolute bottom. I had been using opiates and anything else. And Axel was a real hippie back in the day. Anyway, 4 years ago, I was at my absolute bottom. I had been using opiates and anything else I could find on and off for 13 years. I hadn't worked in a year. I was about to be evicted from my apartment, and my health was atrocious. There were 6 to 7 people I barely knew in and out of my apartment for the last few months doing drug deals and God knows what else. I was just a bystander in my own life and thought I was going to live and die a heroin addict. I didn't believe in treatment or that there was any way out of the life I believed I had condemned myself to. By the grace of God, my cousin Agnes, burdened with the secret of my addiction, reached out to my mom, afraid that I would die, and rightfully so. This was the catalyst that would eventually save my life. With the support from my parents and my cousin and the rest of my family, I made the most out of character decision I've ever made: to go to a not just any treatment center, but a faith-based one in Hollywood called JC's House. Excuse me. I put in the work. I'm not laughing at you. Maybe I am a little bit. I put in the work in my recovery and did every program I could find for 2 years. Fast forward to now, and I'm truly happy. I take my meds, drink water, and work out regularly. I've been at the same job for almost 3 years. I own my car and my condo and a beautiful cat named Bodie. I wonder if he named Bodie after Bodie on The Wire. I live a life today I'm grateful for, and many of us who struggle with addiction are not so lucky. This day is always bittersweet for me because although I mourn the many friends I've lost to addiction, I can be grateful for the day I got a second chance at life and never turned back. I'm so grateful for my parents, Annabelle and Dave, Stephen Boyarski, Gil Manasan, Tim Grizowitz, Michael Machia, whatever you say his name, for helping me change my life, and Agus for giving me the best gift I will ever receive. Here's to 50 more years of freedom. And he didn't thank Dopey, but that's okay. He thanked Dopey in the comments. But Axel, congratulations. And if anyone else is celebrating, please send in an email or a voicemail. I think it's nice with all the death and shit to honor life and recovery once in a while. Even though this is, of course, not a podcast about recovery, but once in a while we can talk about it. Now, there's so much stuff coming up. DopeyCon is just inching towards us. We're almost out of tickets. It's a lot of people that are coming. Catered by Katz's. Brandon Novak's coming. Andy Roy's coming. Aaron Carr's coming. Chloe LeBranch is coming. Maybe Skinny Vinny's coming. I didn't put him on the poster, but he might be coming. Fucking Smiling Joe is coming. I just ran into Fentanyl J. He looks like he's going to come with Wheeze, I think. Fucking Jersey Jerry might come. You never know. You never know who's going to come. Tickets are available on the website. This week, as long as I get healthy, I'm flying to Park City, Utah for the Park City Song Summit, which I'm incredibly happy about. I'm doing all sorts of crazy stuff out there. I'm meeting my friend Brad, who actually came up with the idea for Dopey that I stole from him, and I'm going to take him to the festival and have a time of it. So I'm ridiculously excited for that. I also want to say subscribe to Patreon. There's somebody on Patreon named Faye, and Faye always gives me shit that I don't put up audio. So I put up audio for the Kavanagh. Kavanagh is a pop star, an ex-teen pop star from England. He tells some really good stories. He tells an amazing Amy Winehouse story. So go to Patreon and listen to Cav, all right? Also, I got a note from somebody who actually listened to the Oro fucking ad and went to Oro, which is amazing. I also got a note from this person. Hold on, I'm going to read you this note. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I wanted to share a huge thanks to you. I lost my father in November to an overdose. I have been listening to the pod for about a year or more before his passing, and while I was always compassionate and understanding to his pain and struggles with addiction, the amount I learned being a part of this community has changed my life. I was wondering if there's any way to get more involved. How do I join some of the meetings, Zooms, Facebook group? I feel strongly the need to be a larger part of a larger conversation. Thank you again. Keep up the great work. So yeah, join the Dopey Nation Facebook. Go to the Dopey Nation Zoom. The ID number is 804-300-586. The password is always Toodles with a lowercase everything. I'm fucking sick. So fucking annoying. I mean, part of me does like it because I'm off the table, but I also don't like to really be off the table. Like my Nora just redid her room and she wants me to hang up a mirror, which I think I'm going to do, right? And I just want to be sequestered. What are you guys watching on TV? So far, I'm not impressed with House of Dragons. It seems like House of Gabbage to me. It's I don't know. I feel like they should have done a Game of Thrones prequel closer to the Days of Ice and Fire, whatever the old series was, and you could see the Starks and all that shit. That would have been better than this shit with all these people in white wigs. I don't know. Drop an email. Let me know what you guys think of the House of Dragons. I mean, we're only on episode 2. I just don't care. I also didn't think The Bear was very good. Everyone loved The Bear. First episode was great. It went totally downhill. The Bear could have just been called The Gabbage. I'm totally tempted to watch Oz again. Now, Jersey Jerry has a show on Barstool Sports called Friend of Jerry's. It is a recovery show. Barstool Sports is like a block away from my dad's house. I was told about Jerry, and I bugged him for a long time to come on Dopey, and then out of nowhere, he invited me to go on his show, Friend of Jerry's. So I got to go on Friend of Jerry's, and then Jerry, reluctantly came to my dad's to record a Dopey episode. So here's Jersey Jerry. But before we do Jersey Jerry, let's have a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. I know for me, it's very easy to get stuck in my head on a problem, which is why I do online therapy. I do online therapy so I can be reminded of a solution every week. So I can talk to somebody who makes it easier for me to understand my problem and how to make it easier to accomplish my goals. If they're little goals, if they're big goals, if it's just a feeling a little better, to talk to a therapist is always helpful. I've been in therapy many times over the years. In the beginning, it was around addiction and misery. Then it was around being separated from Linda. And recently it was around Sam quitting Dopey. And I talked to Sam every day and he quit. And I needed to talk to somebody, and talking to a therapist was awesome. It definitely helped me out with stress. It definitely made me feel more confident week in and week out. If you are thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey and switch therapists anytime. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. At least it can help. Visit betterhelp.com/dopeypodcast today and get 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp.com/dopeypodcast. Get some BetterHelp right now. All right, and here we go. Jersey Jerry, straight out of fucking Barstool from my dad's house. Before we get to Jersey Jerry, I want to do one more before we do it. When I gave you my list of people at DopeyCon, it was not as thorough as it should have been. Here's a more thorough list. Ray Brown is going to be at DopeyCon. Tim from Dank Recovery is going to be there. Like I said, Brandon Novak, Andy Roy, Chloe LeBranch, Nick from Dark Side of the Spoon, Brian from Straight Pepper Diet, Aaron Carr, my dad, Linda, I said Ray, me, my friend Jim will probably be there. And probably a ton of other people within the doposphere. Mick Popham will be there. Katie Bates. Fucking James Glennie, who's busting out art on a daily basis. God bless you, James. All right, here he is from Barstool Sports in the great state of New Jersey, Jersey Jerry, who might be there too. Also, other special guests. Go on the website and buy a DopeyCon ticket. They're going to sell out, and you're going to be like, fuck, I wish I went to DopeyCon. It's probably going to be the most important live event around drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. And it's catered by Katz's, and it's going to be like this incredible explosion of emotion and good times. Oh, Brer Bryan's going to be there. Fucking Tony Mansions, a.k.a. titty meat writer Johnny Takeif. All right, enough about DopeyCon. But before we get to Jersey Jerry one last time, go buy Dopey candles. Go to the website. Hit the link for the Dopey candles. We're in a partnership with a company called North Avenue Candle Company. It's northavcandlecompany.com/collection/Dopey, or just click on the link on the website. The candles are really good. If you want to get a candle, you want to get a Dopey candle, get one from North Ave Candle Company. They're great. All right, enough with me saying, but before we do this, here's Jersey Jerry. At my dad's apartment, and I have a very special guest who is very hesitant to come here. And before we get into all that, like, this guy's a big deal. He's on Barstool Sports. He's a gambling aficionado. He's a fucking drug addict in recovery. His name is Jersey Jerry. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Yeah, no, hesitant to come here for sure. I was skeptical at first. And then as I'm walking inside the building, I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna kill me.
Definitely.
That's why he wants me here. He wants to kill me.
Was that your feeling downstairs?
Yeah, 100%.
It was a little low, too low income.
Yeah, this is a little too low income. Something's up here. But no, I'm happy to be here. Dave is a good guy, man. And you were on my show.
Yes.
Which was great. We had a good time, good conversation. And I'm sure you'll be back in the future, and I'm excited.
dude, fucking, he comes in and I'm trying to impress him with all this shit. I'm telling him about how you guys bought the Rodecaster and I'm setting up the mics and I'm all nonchalant. And then the machine didn't turn on. And like the machine has never not turned on. So I want to, it's just embarrassing.
It's a bad omen.
Not to mention, like we set this thing up and then we pushed it back and then I needed to eat. I wound up stealing my dad's food. He asked me not to eat because I was nervous that we wouldn't get this done. He had wonton soup and an egg roll in the fridge. And he explicitly said, do not eat this food. And I did because I needed to eat before you got here. But it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, I was eating before I got here, too. I had a Lunchable.
I know. I was impressed.
No free ads, but I had a Lunchable.
Yeah, no free ads for sure. I'm advertising the horrible Chinese place in the neighborhood. So what the fuck, Jerry? I want to know. You're big time on Barstool. Yeah. Barstool. Everyone's very impressed with Barstool Sports. Mm-hmm. How did you get there?
So pretty much this is how it happened. I had a viral video of a freak out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost.
You love the Steelers.
Love the Steelers. So about 5-6 years ago, I had a viral video, and it was a freak out. I was screaming at my mom upstairs. Steelers just lost in the playoffs to the Jaguars. It was miserable. Anyway, a website that I had no idea about called Barstool Sports, they picked it up, and they put it on their page. And they didn't tag me or anything, but like my friends were hitting me up like, yo, dude, Barstool just posted your video. I'm like, what the hell is Barstool? Like, I don't really know what that is. So long story short, it got, I want to say upwards of close to 40 or 50 million views.
What was the video?
It was me saying that I was going to kill myself. And I told my mom, I ain't doing dishes tonight. I'm not doing nothing. You'll find me hanging from the bathroom. So the video exploded. Barstool kind of reached out, and Dave reached out and pretty much said...
Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, it was, hey, we're doing some event. I see you're from Jersey. We're doing some event at the Meadowlands racetrack. We would love to have you there. Okay, so I go. They have a separate little reserved table for me, VIP. Got to meet Dave for the first time. Exchanged phone numbers with him. Yeah, so after that, I'm like... Were
you sober?
Yeah, I was sober. I started following the page. And I'm like, oh, dude, this company is friggin' awesome. Like, they post the funniest stuff. I got to know the characters, like, Big Cat. He has probably the biggest sports podcast in the world with Eric, who's also on the show. And they have all these different types of networks and podcasts and, different things, funny videos. And I was like, oh, I would love to work here. So for about, I'd say, the next 4 or 5 years, I would always DM them, my funny freak out videos and my gambling videos and whatnot. And it would never really get a response. And then one day I remembered to myself, this is like going back, a couple of years. I said, I have this guy's number in my phone. I have the...
You had forgotten that
Yes.
he gave you the number,
Yes.
which is like the golden ticket for anybody trying to do what you do.
Exactly. So,
or I do, for that matter.
Yeah. So I had the number in my phone. So I said, oh, my God, I've spent years trying to DM this company. Sometimes they read it, sometimes they don't. I just messaged Dave. And I was like, hey, Dave, Jersey Jerry from the Steelers Freak Out Suicide video. I'd love to come work for you. Long story short, I went there. I did an interview.
A block away from my dad's house.
Yes, did the interview. Offered me the job. I said no.
Nice.
I said no. Because at the time, I had a very, very good union job. I was working for a company called PSC&G out in New Jersey, and I did underground high-pressure gas lines, and I didn't want to leave. So a couple weeks later, this other guy, Kevin Connolly, do you know who that is?
Kevin Connolly? It sounds
Entourage.
Familiar. Yeah.
He reaches out.
Which one is he on Entourage? Turtle?
E from Entourage.
Okay.
So he reaches out, likes my
He's
stuff.
not Turtle.
No, definitely not. He reached out, loved my stuff, offered me a job. I could still work at public service, and I just had to do one show a week for him for like $60,000.
Nice.
So I was like, that's easy money. I did that. I got a message from Dave saying you're making a big mistake,
What was Kevin Connolly's deal?
He has a company called Action Park Media.
And was it like a competitor to Barstool?
I wouldn't call them a competitor, really, honestly. They're...
See, no one's asking me to work anywhere, man.
Yeah. So I took the job with Kevin, and it was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. He is... he's a pretty shitty boss.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're giving the straight hot take on E.
Yeah, I mean, just like a scumbag.
Would
bro.
you say you're putting E on blast?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. I always do.
Okay.
I got no problem doing it.
He was very scumbaggy on Entourage.
Yeah, he was.
So it wasn't a stretch.
No, 100% no. So I worked there for a couple months, and one day just stopped paying me. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? I signed a year deal for $60,000. Like, he's like, oh, we don't really need you no more.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
He's a Jersey guy?
I don't know. No, he's not.
Did he say we don't really need you no more?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, kind of.
Another dick.
So pretty much he had an editor. He had one of his editors tell me that.
Ugh.
He never even straight up told me that. So
Is his shit still out there?
Yeah, but it's bottom of the barrel type of stuff. You know what I mean? So
Maybe they'd hire me over there.
I mean, you don't want to go there.
I'm
trust
just
me.
kidding.
And I reached back out to Dave, and he's like, "I told you, you made a mistake." I was like, "Hey, man, listen, I did make a mistake. I should have just took the job. Took him a few months, but my last text to him was, "Hey, listen, this will be my last text message to you. I'm gonna stop bothering you, but just know you're gonna make a big mistake if you don't hire me."
Nice.
And then he's like, "Hey, I'll be at my office Thursday this time." Boom. I went there. Told him I worked for free for the first 6 months. I said, I don't want no pay for the first 6 months. I want to prove to you. He's like, oh, okay, deal, no problem. After I worked there for one day, he offered me the job. And that's kind of how it started.
What was the gig?
Just a content creator, with Barstool, which I do now. I do stuff on the gambling side. I have my own podcast now. I'm actually starting another podcast, specifically niche for the Steelers.
Well, and Dopey Nation, you need to understand that Jerry and I hooked up because I had a friend who's a huge fan of yours, and he's like, yo, this guy Jersey Jerry, he's in recovery, he's a fucked up drug addict, he does a podcast kind of like Dopey called Friend of Jerry's. And that's how we hooked up. And so you got into Barstool doing crazy content,
Yes.
but then you wound up being like, I'd love to do a show about recovery.
Yes, because, listen, you get to Barstool and it's like, okay, the big football shows are taken. The big baseball stuff is taken. Somebody already does that. They're very successful at it. The big other gambling stuff is kind of taken, but I still do my stuff with them. There was nothing really for addiction, sobriety. And I was like, hey, this is my passion. I love being sober. And I said, fuck it. I'm gonna start my own show.
I was going to start a gambling podcast. I have a friend who moved to Costa Rica, and he started working for one of these betting companies down there. Mm-hmm. Maybe you know him. His name is Peter Loshak. He has a giant mustache. He calls himself Loshak. He's funny. I wanted to set up a podcast with Peter and a bunch of the guys at Katz's and call it The Jew and the Dominicans. And because the guys at Katz's are so passionate about sports. And Peter's very unreliable. But if you want to do something with these guys at Katz's, they're brilliant, and they're fucking hardcore New Yorkers.
Oh, yeah?
And they know everything about sports.
Sports, yeah.
And they're degenerate gamblers, too.
Yeah.
They're great. So we'll talk about that later. When's the first time you got high? This isn't fucking what's your career
First
day.
time
When did you get high?
Was like marijuana or
Sure.
marijuana, I'd say 15.
You didn't love weed, though.
No.
I went on Jerry's show and I called weed bud, and he's like, what are you talking about?
So 15 years old, I kind of got, interested in it, and I was like, fuck it. After baseball practice one day, I smoked, and it wasn't really for me. But then I started to smoke a lot more. And
Drinking too?
I only drank twice my whole life.
Interesting. I was never a big drinker.
I only drank junior prom and senior prom, and that's the only time I ever drank my whole life.
So what went wrong?
One day I was at school and, I tried to do the whole selling pot thing or whatever like that. Wasn't really successful. And this one kid, he was like, hey, you should start selling these. You'll get money for these. And I didn't know what they were at the time, but they were painkillers, Percocets, the yellow ones, 10 milligram. And I was like, oh, okay, I could try, selling them. And I started selling them because I would take them from my grandmother's medicine cabinet in my house. Because I knew the pill looked familiar, and I was like, oh, wow, this lady has bottles and bottles of these. She'll never know.
Was your grandma very infirmed?
What does that mean?
Like sick?
No.
Why did she have so many Percocets?
No, I get you. So she would get them every month. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And she would just take one or two when she was in pain or whatever like that. Her legs hurt.
So you weren't stealing your grandmother's medicine that she needed?
No, I wouldn't say she needed it.
Not then at least.
No. But then I took one, and I'll never forget the way it made me feel. I said, I want to feel like this the rest of my life. And then after that, it was off to the races.
What did it do for you?
It made me feel like I was numb to everything. I was a good athlete in school. I wasn't really the most popular guy, you know what I mean? But it just made me feel like, oh, man, this is a feeling that I want to feel the rest of my life. And then I actually had sex on it. And it was like, oh, my God. A God, you know what I mean? Fucking lasted 45 minutes, an hour. It's like, these girls are impressed now.
It is very impressive, right?
Yeah. And it's like, I found myself start taking it just to fuck girls. And I was like, oh, wow, like, this is great. And, like, I even had one girl tell me, she's like, wow, I can't believe how long you last. Like, usually, like, when I have sex, it's like, guy's done in 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, no, I'm a king, man.
Did you say it's because of the Percocet?
No.
You never let them know the secret recipe?
No, not the secret, no.
Well, that's amazing because it's like opiates are like, they make you feel so good. They make you not give a shit about anything. They make it so nothing can get to you. And, I mean, I would come very quickly.
Yeah.
And when I got on heroin, I could last forever. So it was like this amazing side effect of this drug that I loved so much.
Yeah, and I feel like nobody like ever really talks about that. You know what I mean? For me, at least from my experience, it's like I found myself like I wouldn't fuck a girl unless I was on it.
Well,
You know what I mean?
after you know the before and
Yes,
after.
yeah.
But now they're doing, you see this Hims business?
No.
There's some company that does male enhancement drugs. Like that's all they do.
Really?
And I don't know, maybe they know that I used to come very quickly because I'm getting these ads all the time. And it's like some woman in bed with the dude and the woman's like, you came so quick. And they order Hims and they don't need to take Percocet or heroin because they could take Hims so they can last.
Gotcha.
But I think it's great. I don't think in the history of Dopey anyone has mentioned the great it's funny because my partner, right? I relapsed on heroin, a million years ago, and all of a sudden I could have sex and last forever. And she was like, "What's wrong with me now?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Why are you
not coming?"
Exactly.
Yeah,
It wasn't a bonus for her that time,
Yeah.
which is funny in itself.
Yeah, I feel like when you're young, like I don't know, when I was younger, it was a little different. Like these girls just love to fuck. You know what I mean? I don't care how long it was. In my early high school, and then when I went to college, it was crazy. You know what I mean?
So it was like a real sex drug thing.
For me, for a while, yeah, 100%.
And were you selling a ton of it?
I was selling a good amount of it. I actually, once my grandmother found out and my mom found out, like I obviously couldn't steal them anymore. So what I would do was I kind of like these buildings here where we're at now. There's a building like this next to my house where I live. Right. So I linked up with this like 65, 70-year-old lady, Spanish lady. Her name was Mommy. And what I did was I told her like, hey, somebody referred me to you, and they said you got, you get this every month. This person who used her was locked up at the time, and a friend of theirs gave me the connection. So I was like, well, he's locked up now. Nobody's using this lady. Perfect timing. I'll ask her. And she was pretty much my connect.
Mommy's the plug.
She was the plug.
I love that.
So she would pretty much, supply me with yellows and blues, Percocet 10s and 30s every month. You know what I mean? For pretty cheap, I'd say.
How cheap?
$2 a pill for the yellows, and the blues were $7 a pill.
And how much did you move them for?
25 for the blues, and then 10 for the yellows.
So you're always making money.
Oh yeah, and it got to the point where like, even towards the end, right? I wasn't making any money, but I had enough to
stay well.
Yes, exactly. So I wouldn't get sick, which I had no idea at the time. I never got sick until later on, But yeah, she was the plug for a couple years, 2 years, I'd say.
When's the first time you got sick?
The first time I got sick was, I want to say I was around 18, about 18 or 19 years old. Somewhere around then. It was the first time I got sick. She wasn't around, and I didn't have anything, and I had nobody to get it from. So after, like, I'd say the first...
You knew it was withdrawal as soon as it hit you because you didn't have the pills.
Well, yeah, because I've heard about it. You know what I mean? I've heard this kind of stuff happens.
And were your customers going into withdrawal all over the place? And they were like,
Jerry,
Jerry.
because they had other people they can get from as well. You know what I mean? I wasn't really in the business like that. You know what I mean? So pretty much I just didn't have it for a couple hours. And then I remember waking up and just not feeling right. And like as the day went along, I was like, whoa, this is kind of weird. You know what I mean? My body hurts. It actually like physically hurts. And then I'm just, going to the bathroom and I'm like, oh my God, this is pretty bad. And I have to stop this. And the next day I got my hands on some and it just went away,
Well, it's the best feeling. It's like the greatest feeling. The greatest feeling probably I've ever felt is to be sick, know that dope is coming, and then using it. And it's like a video game.
So I feel like before I even take the drug, my withdrawal symptoms stop when it's in my hand. You know what I mean? When it's like you don't think about it, and you stop being sick. Because you like your body knows you're about to get it.
It's so it can. I wonder what it's doing in that moment. Like what is the chemical that's being produced in that pre-using? But I mean, like when you're sick and I've talked about this a million times. But when you're sick and you're empty, you're shitting yourself and you're sweating and you're cold inside and you feel like the world is ending, and then you take a tiny bit of this thing and all of a sudden you're all good. Yeah, it's like the most remarkable, horrible thing in the world.
Oh yeah,
because nobody experiences that.
Yes, 100%.
So you're selling fucking Percocets, and the blues are perks too.
Yeah, like
the perk 30s. Yeah. I would do that stuff. Like I never had a connection for that stuff.
Gotcha.
I only had heroin connections, and I would do that stuff if I was trying to kick or if somebody had it, but it was never like my thing.
Gotcha.
So then, did you go to school yet? And have you done coke yet?
Yeah. So I've never snorted coke in my life. I've only smoked crack.
I love that.
Yeah. So I went to rehab for the first time when I was about 18.
Before school.
Right before college.
Yeah.
I went to rehab. My mom, dad, and family found out, and they're like, hey, we got to get you away.
Where'd you go?
This place in Newark, New Jersey called Integrity House.
You say Newark like Artie says Newark.
Yeah.
Newark.
So I went there, and, when I was in there, like, there was people that were mandated there from prison, people there because of drug court. So I was kind of like one of the only few walk-ins in the rehab, and I was the youngest kid there. And, I remember, like, hearing people's stories and how they were in there because, they're a crack user, or heroin user, or a drug dealer and stuff like that. And I was like, I never did heroin before, And, they would talk about all the old spots. They used to go and get it. Anyway, I actually graduated the 90 days. I got out. And then after a couple days, I found myself going to one of the spots, and I was like, hey, do you guys have heroin? And they're like, yeah, kind of skeptical at first. And I was like, yeah, how much is it, They're like, oh, $5 a bag. And I'm like, all right, I'll just do one. Cheap as fuck. I'm like, fuck it. I did one, and it was the same feeling I had with the Percocets times 20.
And cheap.
Yeah, and cheaper. So I said, well, this is it.
Were you scared? Like when you went to Integrity House, like how bad were you before you went there? Like, were you?
So I wasn't at the point where I was stealing yet. I wasn't at the point that I was, robbing people in the family, robbing drug dealers. I wasn't at that point yet, but my family was very worried.
How did they find out?
So pretty much one night, my mom gave me a drug test, and it failed.
She was just like, you're fucking obviously high, Jerry.
You're high. It's not weed. You're doing other things. We're going to give you a drug test. I'm like, all right, sure. I took it and failed. And I'm like, listen, I've been doing this for a little while now. I need some help. I don't want to do this anymore. So they put me in the program.
Did your family ever do drugs at all?
Yeah, my father. Yeah, he was a drug dealer for a long time, 30 years, 35 years.
What was he selling?
He sold coke, guns, heroin, pills.
And you live with him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they were very experienced with this stuff then.
Yeah, my dad, he's been he's never had a job, he's been in out of prison for his whole life. You know, he's institutionalized. It's kind of like all he knows how to do.
What's he doing now?
He's a drug counselor.
That's awesome.
He's a drug counselor now. Yeah.
How much time does he have?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you.
Okay.
A year, 2
All right.
years.
All right.
He's got out of prison like 3-4 years ago.
So how was that growing up with that?
It's kind of like I idolized it, you know, and I wanted to be like that, you know what I mean? But there was many talks where he's like, hey, you don't want to live this life. This life is miserable, you know what I mean?
When did you find out what he did?
Oh, early, 10, 11 years old.
So why don't we start with that? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you see these guys coming in your house, suits, Mercedes-Benz, Rolexes, diamonds, you know, it's like, who the fuck are these people, you know, in and out of your house every day, you know? He was also like a bookie and, you know, with gambling and stuff like that, but...
Classic street guy.
Yeah, you know, he's supported his mom since dad left him when he was like 13, 14. So he supported his mother since he's a young kid, you know, 13, 14, selling drugs, you know.
And you never went to him for a source or anything?
Towards the end.
But not when you started?
No.
And he didn't know? Who noticed you were high first, and was he high?
He knew.
Right.
He would, like, talk my mom and tell her, like, hey, he's fucked up, you know. And
right.
She's like, no, he's not. Stop it. You know, he's hitting home runs in baseball. Like, it's fine. You know, he's doing good. You know, he's getting ready to go to college for baseball and stuff. Like, but, yeah, no, he knew all along. Just my mom was the one who was like, yeah, no way. My son would never do this stuff.
How did your mom survive in a marriage to a hardcore drug addict and drug dealer? She was using or not using?
No, my mom's a saint.
All right, well, listen, it's a
She's
fair question.
Saint, Dave.
All right, I'm with you. No disrespect, Jerry. I'm not disrespecting your mother. I'm asking. It's an interesting family unit to come out of.
Yes. So my mom been working since she's 14 years old. She's not rich by any means, but she can run a household. She raised both me and my sister. My sister turned out perfectly fine. You know what I mean?
And she loved your dad.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, for a long time, for a very, very long time. You know, his last time in prison, he was there for 8 years, you know, and my mother never went out. She never went to bars, never went to a club. I've never seen another man on Facebook or, like, nothing.
Are they still together?
No, not anymore, no.
How did that end?
Kind of, like, you know, just, so about a year ago, I'd say, like, kind of had a lot of differences, you know. He was coming home late, and we kind of figured he was up to something, you know what I mean? And my mom's like, hey, I'm done, you know what I mean? Fuck this shit. Like,
she went as far as she could.
Yeah, like, you know, it's 35 years going. It's like, how much can you fucking take, you know?
So you come out of Integrity House, 90 days. It's a long time for a kid to go to rehab.
Yes.
It's not a short rehab. You come out, everyone's hopeful,
yes.
And you've learned how to cop heroin.
Exactly, you know. And then shortly after heroin, I'd say after the first 2 months, 3 months, it was like, okay, crack cocaine now. I just wanted to get higher and higher and higher, which was, you know, I always say this. I wish I knew this at the time. I was always nervous about the whole mixing, you know, heroin and crack and stuff like that, which I wish I could have had the chance to try it, but I never got the chance to.
Everyone lives by. I used to shoot speedballs, and I would shoot goofballs with meth and dope, and it was good. But I like this. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. So when crack came into the picture when I was 19, the heroin just stopped, and I went. It just completely stopped. I just stopped it, and
that's unusual.
I went to my mom, and I was like, "Hey, like I've heard about this thing called Suboxone, and it'll help me stop." And sure enough, I was going to the doctor, and I was getting, you know, I think like 30 strips. It was an invisible thing you put under your tongue. I was getting like 30 of them a month, so I would take like one 8 milligram a day, and I obviously wasn't sick from the opiate withdrawal. And I was just smoking crack, and I smoked crack for 2 years, without you know doing heroin. I was on Suboxone.
So at the end of a night of smoking crack, you wouldn't need something to come down?
I mean, yeah, for sure. But you know, crack is an interesting drug for me because, like, you know, you can smoke crack for fucking 8-9 hours straight. You know what I mean? Nonstop. Keep doing it. And it's like, you know, it's tough to go to sleep. It's the feeling is so much different than heroin because the crack it's all in your head. You know what I mean? The heroin is physical. In your body. So I'd rather deal with a physical withdrawal for me than the mental.
Than the compulsion.
Yes, because there was many times, you see the people looking out the blinds, hiding under I was hiding under trucks when my family was looking for me on the street. Like, crack was crazy, man.
Let's talk about that time, though. So you start doing heroin, and
I went away multiple times for heroin. Multiple. Though my last...
To treatment or to jail?
My last treatment center was my 14th. But in between, 18 to 19, there was college. I got kicked out of college. You know what I mean? Just a bunch of stuff happened. Went away multiple times. Couldn't figure it out.
Give me a good crack story.
A good one would... So I ran out of money. I was on the street. It was actually my last time I ever got high. I was on the street. I was, haven't showered for a long time. I'd say a couple weeks. Nobody knew where I was at. And
where were you staying?
Next to a dumpster by Dunkin Donuts.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't have any money, obviously. I didn't have nobody to steal, nobody to rob from. Panhandling was bad that day, and I went on through the afternoon. And I said to myself, fuck it, I'm gonna try to rob one of these guys. So down where I used to cop, you would go down there, you would, ring the bell like, hey, I need this. I'm like, okay, he'll come down, he'll take a walk with you around the corner. So this time, I actually had a buddy who had a car. So I went out, beeped outside. He came downstairs, and I was like, hey, I need this, I need this. I didn't have any money. So he hops in the car in the back seat. I'm in the passenger seat. My buddy's in the driver's seat. And we go, and he's like, all right, where's the money? And I'm like, oh, can you spot me? Can you spot me? He's like, no, I ain't spotting you, bro. I'm not spotting you. I'm like, dude, please, spot me. He's like, no, I'm not doing it, man. I told you I'm not doing it. I was like, dude, I will give you the money. I'll give you double. He's like, bro, if I ever see you down here again, I'm going to fucking kill you without my money. He gets out the car.
He didn't give you the crack.
Huh?
He didn't give it to you.
So listen, he gets out the car. I have a baseball bat in the front seat. He gets out the car. I get out the passenger side. I walk around the back, and I'm creeping towards him. And so what they would do is they would bring you around the corner because they had a stash spot with all their drugs. They never kept stuff inside. They would keep it in, underneath trees, buried, you know what I mean? In, sewer lines and stuff, taped and stuff. So that's how they did it. Yeah, I get out the car, and I just cracked him in the head, and he fell. And I ran towards the tree where looks like he was going to. I look down, and it's buried, and there's I see a Ziploc thing. So I just pick it up, and I'm like, oh, I've never seen this much drugs before. This is the jackpot. I run. He's on the ground.
Out.
He's out cold. Out cold. I'll still to this day, I'll never know what happened. Get back in the car. We take off, and I give my buddy some stuff, not a bunch of stuff, but I give him some stuff, and I take the rest. And I got high for about, I'd say, 2 straight days. It's nuts. It's probably the craziest story I've never went back down the street. I never even drove down it again.
Do you live anywhere near there?
I'd say I live about a 5 to 6 minute walk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine you run into the dude now, with your kid or something.
I know.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, though, because it's a long way from drug dealing, rehab, kid to homeless.
Yeah.
And I never was homeless. I always say, I don't think I would have made it on heroin if I didn't have cable TV.
Yeah.
I'm middle class, bougie, lazy fucker who would eat ice cream sandwiches and gain weight on heroin. But tell us a bit about the decline and how it went down.
The decline happened really, really fast when I got introduced to crack. I would always have my mom would always give me she knew the deal.
She loved you too.
Yeah, she
Italian family.
Yeah, she never gave up on me. You know what I mean? She's actually the one who found me. But the decline was very, very fast when I started smoking crack. It got to the point where I would steal things here and there. You know what I mean? Before crack and stuff like that, laptops and stuff like that. And then once I started smoking crack, there was no holds barred. You know what I mean? I'm stealing my mom's mortgage money out of her room. I'm stealing cell phones out the house. So the decline happened so fast, and you could just see it too as well. Like, I lost so much weight. You know, I went into rehab at like 122 pounds.
Right.
You know, so you could just see it from not eating, not sleeping. I had bags under my eyes. You know, anything I wore was just gross. But yeah, dude, it was, and it happened fast too.
How did she kick you out?
So my mother never kicked me out. There was just times, there was just these spurts where I was never like officially, like I could go back home if I wanted to. You know what I mean? I was never like officially homeless. I always had a place to sleep. I always had food on the table if I wanted to eat. It was just, you know, being so embarrassed and just, I didn't want to go through it all again. And so there would be these spans of like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks where I would just disappear. And, you know, they would try to find me every day until the last time, you know, after that.
Your folks would go looking for you.
Yeah, like 2 days after, like I got those drugs. I remember just, you know, being next to a dumpster and just my mom getting her coffee or something in the morning and just found me and just, you know, broke down and said, we got to send you far away.
Was it just crack in the bag?
Yeah, so it was crack, yeah.
Did you miss heroin? I mean, like, I'm such a heroin addict. I smoked crack like 3 times in my life or whatever. I did more coke than I ever should have done, but I never liked it.
Yeah.
I always loved doing an upper and having dope, doing an upper and having benzos. And, like, you were done with heroin and pills the second you found the
I
crack.
just didn't care about it.
That's very interesting.
I just didn't care about it. I found my love, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like, to me, it was like, fuck, I don't care. Like, I don't care about that warm and fuzzy feeling anymore. I want to get my fucking head fucking spinning and the fucking wah, wah, wah.
The bell ringing.
Oh, my God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing like, listen.
And you didn't shoot the coke?
Never, no.
Did you ever shoot anything?
No, never.
All right.
Yeah, never.
My partner who died, Chris, he lived for shooting coke.
Gotcha.
And people who shoot coke, I shot coke a couple times, but coke just wasn't my drug. I think I'm so up naturally
As it is, yeah.
that like coke didn't do it for me.
Yeah, you know what's weird about the crack is it's kind of like, for me at least, it just in a way had the opposite effect on me.
Right.
Which was really weird to me. Like you see people zooming around and zooming. It never did that for me.
It half-timed it for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
100%.
could see that. I could see that. It's like, but it's all weird brain chemistry shit that we're all dealing with.
Yes.
So, but your dad is this hardcore addict and dealer.
Yes.
When you're in the street, how does he deal with you, and do you ever go to him for drugs?
Well, he was in prison at the time. You know, when it got bad, you know, 19 to 21, he was away. He wasn't home, you know. He had to deal with it from the phone calls, you know what I mean, that my mom would give him, like, hey, he's missing again, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, they're arguing, I told you, you know what I mean?
And you didn't have a wife like your dad did.
No, I didn't. The
Percocet dope dick didn't land you a life mate at the time.
No, not at all.
Right.
I'd say, like, I even, like, stopped pretty much having sex for 2 years, maybe.
I don't think I had sex for like 5 years out there.
Yeah.
It was like so sad.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't care.
I didn't care either. I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know, this was my girlfriend in a way.
Yeah, well, very, very much so. So, like, every time through the years, like, you said you did 14 fucking treatments.
14 inpatient, yeah. More detoxes, you know, psych wards and stuff. But inpatient rehab, 14.
So, like, from 18 to how old
21.
were you? Just in those 3 years. Yeah. So, like, so you never wanted to get sober?
No.
So
I just always went away to please people, you know, just get them off my back for a few weeks, few months, whatever the case may be, and then just go right back to doing what I wanted to do.
And it was always just straight up like that, or was it always like, maybe this will work? Like, when I would go, I would run out of money. And since it was always heroin, I would get so sick.
Yeah.
And it's that equation in my mind, like, how much money do I need to stay high? And it never equals out.
Exactly.
You're never going to get there. So it's like to go to treatment, you're like, well, my tolerance will go down.
Yeah.
And I won't be really sick. I was such a pussy. I couldn't handle.
Yeah, the withdrawal.
I was like, I got to go somewhere. And in the back of my head, I was like, well, maybe my whole brain will change when I'm there, and I'll want it all of a sudden, and something magical will happen. And it never did. And I did, you know, I did a few real treatments, like 3, but I did unlimited detoxes.
Yeah, for sure. I had a bunch of detoxes. I always went in there and like I never wanted to get sober. I'd say around like the 12th one, I'd say that I've been to, I really tried. Like I really wanted to kind of get sober, like the 12th and 13th one. Like I really wanted to.
Was it your mom? Like, was your mom the big reason?
Oh, yeah. She was like, we're going to send you away no matter how many times. It'll eventually work.
She's right. It did work.
It did work. But the last time I didn't want to get sober, I really didn't. And,
you're 21 years old.
21. The last time my mom found me, she's like, we're going to send you really far away. I've never been out of the state, so I've always been to New Jersey places. And she's like, hey, we're going to send you super far away. I don't care how far it is. You're going far away, and you're not going to come home for a long time. It's like, hey, whatever. I'm done. I'm tired of being out here. I'll just send me away. I don't give a fuck. I'll find my way out there. They booked me a one-way ticket to Scottsdale, Arizona. And I feel like being away kind of helped me a lot, And after, like, the, I don't know, 60, 90-day kind of mark, I kind of started to come around like, hey, I kind of want to do this time, But the last time, I just wanted to go just to appease them and get them off my back.
What was the place in Scottsdale?
It's called Desert Cove Recovery.
See, you should contact them to be a sponsor on your show.
Yeah. I don't know if they're still in business, but yeah.
Do you think that we missed anything really good and debaucherous from your life of drugs?
I don't even know what debaucherous means.
Debaucherous means really fucked up, down and dirty, good drug shit. Yes, definitely. Give me one more before we get to your big rise. Big rise to goodness.
Probably we did the drug dealer thing, hitting him with a bat.
That's a tough story.
Yeah, it's a wild one. Probably my wildest story.
Somebody told me a story similar to that where they were dealing pills, right? And it's interesting. They were dealing pills on Long Island, and he had a customer who owed him money, so he had the customer hit him with the bat.
Oh, God.
But then he made me take it out of the show.
Oh, Jesus.
Because he was scared.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take that out of the show. I think
you can keep that in.
And then also Jersey Jerry. Like, I'm realizing
guy could be dead if all I know. I have no idea.
I'm 20 years older than you. And like, I've scared you. I've tried to get you to come here. Like, I freaked you out. And you got sober when you were 21.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
Got sober young.
So like, all right. If you can think of another good fucked up,
I'll let you know.
Debauchery is a good word. Okay. I would put it in your head because you're a debaucherous fucker. It's in there.
Yeah.
So you might as well use it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened. I'd say the whole fucking that drug dealer one was crazy. I'd say the sad one. If you were looking for like something sad, would be like in the car. My sister crying like. My mom, getting ready to take me to the airport, and I'm, like, hey, like, there's literally, like, one more bag of heroin inside. Like, literally, there was one little fucking bag, right, of heroin inside that I knew that I had for a long, long, long time. And
where'd you keep it hidden?
In the underwear drawer.
All right.
And, like, I've never touched heroin in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, I just was in there, and I just never had the incline to do it because I always had crack. And when I robbed the guy, it was crack. And then I was like, hey, listen, like, I'm not getting on this fucking plane unless I fucking go do that. You know what I mean? They're crying, no, you're done. We're taking you now. And it's like, listen, I don't give a fuck what you motherfuckers think. You're going inside, and you're going to go get it, and you're going to give it to me. And my sister's like, all right, you know what? The only way that you're going to do it is if you do it right in front of me. And sure enough, I said, I don't give a fuck. No problem. Went inside, got it, sniffed it, and that was it.
And then off to Scottsdale?
Yeah, off to Scottsdale, yeah.
How much was your dad in jail at that point?
Still, yeah. Yes, he was.
Because I can't imagine how much drugs your dad had. It's like,
yeah,
to be a drug addict in a house with a drug dealer father, I don't even know how I would do it.
Yeah.
Were you going into his supply?
Yeah, but it was towards early, 2 years prior. You know what I mean? I would go in, dip in his, pants pocket. He would always keep his money in. I would take, a couple $100 bills out of it. He never really knew,
Do you think he knew about dipping into the coke?
Into the money? No, definitely not. Into the coke? Nah.
He just sold coke, or he sold pills too and dope?
Crack, coke, heroin, weed. He was like everything, honestly. He was like a one-stop shop.
Well, I bet you he's a really good drug counselor now.
Yeah.
I have faith in your father. All right, so tell us about the rise, the good good part.
I always say this. I owe my recovery, to my family for sure, but I also owe it to one man in particular. He's my counselor, and he's the one who kind of made me realize the big picture. I never understood what I was doing. Like, I always thought the stuff I was doing would be harming myself. Nobody else. Like, then he kind of made me open up and see the big picture. That. You're not just hurting yourself. There's a family behind you that you're fucking killing every day, Your mom's not sleeping, taking off of work, you know what I mean? She has no more She has to tell her boss that her son's a drug addict and, she can't come into work today because she's been trying to find him for a week. Like, this is affecting a lot more people than you think, But he would say it in a very, very mean manner. He was a mean man. Still to this
Which
day.
you needed. You needed him to kick your fucking
he
ass.
was in your face. He had fake teeth. His teeth would fly out, spit would go on you.
Right, that'd be scary. When
he was a very intimidating man, and I remember one day I kind of had that moment of clarity, and I pulled him to the side. I'm like, hey, when does it all go away? When does it stop?
Right.
I was tired of going away. I was tired of letting my family down and all this type of stuff, And he looked at me and he started crying, and he was like, he's a very emotional man, and he's like, it'll never stop until you stop.
Right.
And I didn't understand what that meant at the time. All I knew is, hey, if I stop, everything else stops. That comes with this fucking disease, So I just stopped. And then there was a lot more work to be done, which, I still do daily. But that was the moment of clarity for me. And this man, he beat you down for close to 80 days, beat you down, make you feel like the biggest piece of shit on earth. And then the last 10 days I was in there, he pretty much, build you up and feed you confidence and build you up and make you feel like the last 10 days you were there, like, hey, you could really do this fucking thing,
He's gifted counselor, this guy.
Probably one of the best counselors I've ever witnessed, yeah.
Right, and it worked, which is the most important part.
One thing's crazy, you know what I mean? This is how fucked up this disease is. We were in the room one day. He comes in, he's all dressed nice, Versace suit and shoes, Ferragamo shoes, going around the room. Like, hey, would you ever suck dick for crack? No. Next. Hey, would you ever suck dick for heroin? No. Next. Would you ever do that? Going around the room, everybody says no, This is like one of my first times ever meeting the guy. I was like, no, I don't think I would do that. That's some pretty shitty stuff, And he's like, oh, well, I sucked dick for coke. I sucked dick for heroin. I sucked dick for crack. I prostituted myself. What makes you think you wouldn't, Well, we're not gay, He's like, oh, yeah, you ever say, when you're growing up, nah, I would never do heroin. I just smoke weed and do pills. It's like, I told myself all those things. Like, I would never do heroin. I would never smoke crack. I would just smoke weed and do pills, And he's like, this is how powerful this disease is. You can think all you want that you'll never do certain things. But at the end of the day, you'll do whatever to get your fucking fix. So today I'm man enough to say, hey, if the disease, if it didn't, if I never put an end to this thing, I 100% would prostitute myself for crack cocaine, And that's how big of a drug addict I was,
Well, you never. I mean, listen. I personally have no judgment for anybody doing anything for anything.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got their deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you didn't suck dick for crack. Instead, you beat somebody over the head with a bat for crack.
Yes, but the reality of this disease is I sure would have.
Right. At that point, when you were in the car and you said, "Can you set me up?" and the guy's like, "No."
Yeah.
If he pulled out his dick at that moment, you think you would have done it?
I probably would, yeah.
And I have no judgment about that.
I probably would
whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think and I never do this stuff on the show, but I feel like the thing with your dad had to be a huge impediment to you getting well the 14 times. Because it was so built into your home.
Yes,
drugs were my parents were teachers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never were learned at school.
Yeah.
But drugs were not part of the home life. I knew it was it didn't fit in.
Yes.
And your mom stayed with him.
Yes.
Your dad is in the house.
Yes.
You have a family unit and drugs are integral to it.
And not only my inner circle family, but my outer as well, cousins and uncles.
Was it mobbed up stuff?
My dad wasn't really mob related. He knew of a lot of mob related guys. You know what I mean? I've seen, like those machines in the house before for the pressing the kilos and stuff like that. I've seen that. I've witnessed that. You know what I mean? I've witnessed, I don't even know, 200, 300 grand in cash.
What did it look like?
What, the machine? Just a wild fucking like square fucking machine. It was like he kept it in the closet. You know what I mean? And there was always like duct tape in there and stuff like that.
Packaging kilos of coke.
Yeah.
And then, like, what does $200,000, $300,000 in cash look like? Is it a briefcase?
No, definitely not a briefcase. It was just, in the back and towards the closet. And, like, not like a hidden compartment, but, like, there was, like, drawers built into the closet in a way. And, it was just, every drawer was just, like, filled with, like, those wraps around the money. It was, like, just stuff like that. And, like, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. It's like, 2-3 draws, and I'm like, holy shit, this is a lot of money.
So when you look at that, this career and your recovery, and you have seven plus years of recovery, so it's a long time since you were staring down the kilo machine or being in that car or any of that stuff. Like, how much of a part of it being difficult do you think your family was to it? And I'm not asking you to put down your family.
Yeah, no,
at
I
all.
don't. Listen, I look at it like this. My sister was exposed to the same type of stuff.
Right.
Why didn't she do it? Why didn't she fall into this, grips of addiction? You know what I mean? She was just smart enough to see what it did.
Do you think it's smart enough? Or do you think it's like something else? Like, because I have a sister, she didn't get addicted. Artie Lang from Newark has a sister, and she didn't do it.
No, I just think we looked at it as two different types of things. She looked at it as like, oh, it's like gross. I would never want to look like that. I would never want people to talk about me like that. And for me, I just like always wanted to feel like that feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
Which, she's never had, and I hope she never does, but
older or younger sister?
She's 4 years younger.
Wow.
She's 22, 23.
Right. Well, I mean, I didn't get addicted to heroin until I was
late, right?
Yeah, I didn't get addicted to heroin until I was 23, 24.
Yeah.
And how natural did sobriety come to you once you're in that situation?
In the last rehab? Oh, it was like a switch. I don't know how to explain it. It was something that just, the hardest thing I've ever done was get sober. The easiest thing I've ever done was stay sober.
Talk about that.
Getting sober was the hard part, man.
Isn't it so crazy, like these lives that we live?
Yeah.
Like that we have this thing.
Yeah.
And you lived in like, it's like you don't watch Stranger Things.
No,
you don't watch anything.
No, I don't.
You just
really
watch sports.
Yeah, I watch sports.
But in Stranger Things, right? The concept of Stranger Things, it's like there's this town, and then there's this other dimension of the town, this negative space with all this fucking monsters and evil shit. And with addiction, it's like this underworld in us.
Yes.
That's vast and never ending.
Yeah.
And it's us though.
Yeah.
And then once you leave that place, and it's like you have this beautiful family and you have this great gig and you're doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
It's like, do you ever get flashes? I'm not talking about cravings. I'm saying flashes of the life that you had.
Yeah. Yes. All the time. All the time. Like, I look at it like, okay, like tomorrow. Or no, Friday. I'm going on a private jet. And this is not to brag. This is just to see where my life is at today. I'm going on a private jet to West Virginia. To be there for the Rough and Rowdy Barstool event. And then after that's over, I'm taking the private jet down to Saratoga, New York to go bet on some horses.
That'll be up to Saratoga, New York.
Up to Saratoga.
Yes.
Correct. That's just, you look at that and you're like, wow. It's like I'm taking private jets around the country now, and I'm, hanging out with millionaires, and I'm just doing what I love to do, And I never would have thought that, being 122 pounds, going to rehab with a flashlight, a pair of underwear, 2 pairs of underwear, and a couple guinea tees, pair of shorts, flip-flops. I didn't have sneakers because I sold them all. So you look at that and you're like, holy shit. This all happened in 7 years. And I'm a strong believer in one day at a time. But I'm excited to see what the fucking next 7 brings me,
That's why I got sober, because I knew what drugs gave me.
Yeah.
And it was nothing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what sobriety was going to give me. Does gambling ever fuck with you?
No, I don't think it does. So I would say early on in my sobriety, I always loved horses. And I always would play horses.
Do you ever say, I love the ponies?
Yeah, all the time.
You do?
Yeah.
All right, good.
So I was always a horse gambler, early on in sobriety. Not like the biggest horse gambler, but, if I could afford to spend $500 on a Friday to bet some horses, I would. I go to the track and I gamble. Now part of my job is, gambling and stuff like that.
It's a lot of your job.
Yeah, which I do. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I give myself a little allowance, though. Like, I know what I need to pay my bills and to provide for my son and my girlfriend. I know what I need to do, and I know what funds I need every single month. If I have an extra $1,000 at the end of it and I want to gamble with it, my family's fed. My son has new clothes. You know what I mean? My girlfriend's fed. She has new clothes. She has designer bags, whatever she wants. I'm going to do what the fuck I want with my money.
Does winning ever feel like high?
For me, no. I mean, it feels good, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But it's not the same for me,
It's not that thing.
Yeah, and there's people out there like, oh, Jerry, you're sober, but you gamble. And it's like, okay, it's not destroying my life. I'm pretty strong in my recovery. I know, not to put fucking $10,000 on a game that I don't have. You know what I mean? I'm not stupid. If I want to bet $500 on a football game, I'm going to bet it. If I like the Steelers this week against the Bengals, I'm going to bet the Steelers,
And you're so committed. Well, do you always bet the Steelers no matter what?
No, I'm not like that.
All right.
No.
And you're so committed to the recovery.
Yeah.
You're working in this very, sports gambling heavy place, and you're like, I want to do a recovery podcast.
Yeah, I do, I do a recovery podcast.
And I know you do these meetings, these Zooms.
Yes, they're very good.
So we do Zooms too.
Okay.
But I was listening to your show, and Jerry did this meeting this week, and some dude pops in with the porn.
Yes.
The fucking Zoom.
Zoom hacker.
The Zoom hacker.
Dude, it was wild. So we've been doing it for a few weeks now. I think it's, it's pretty cool. I've seen this done before in the past with a different podcast that I was on years and years ago, where it was called The Brilliantly Dumb Show, and it was called Happy Hour. And, you have those diehard fans that love the show. They tune in every week. They go to the Zoom meeting. Gives them a chance to talk. You see the fans.
It's cool.
It's really, really cool. So I just took that concept and did it like this. And I'll tell you what, it's been pretty successful until the Zoom hacker.
The Zoom hacker is fun. It's great. It's a great story.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, there's one kid that was sharing, and all of a sudden you've seen an interracial porno pop up, and this black guy's destroying this little tiny white girl. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you hear all the audio, and I'm telling Kevin, texting him yo, figure this shit out, bro.
Fucking Kevin.
Fucking nuts, figure it out. We didn't know what to do, and it just stopped. So now we're just have it really intimate where the only way to get in is if you are...
Invite only.
Invite only, yeah.
And if you want an invitation to the Jersey Jerry, you got to go to the Jersey Jerry Instagram page, message them, and say you want to get into the Zoom.
Yes.
And you're not going to bring the porno.
Yes.
Not even all white porn is accepted in the Zoom.
Yeah,
it's not the interracial quality that you didn't like. It was porn within a recovery setting.
Yeah, so we do that every week, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then the podcast drops every Monday morning.
What about, you do regular meetings?
I do sometimes, yeah, I do.
I know this is violating traditions, but you never drank. Do you do AA or NA?
I do AA.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're violating traditions, but I barely drank, and I really always did better in AA.
So, like I said, my counselor was a very, very mean man.
Is he really mean or just fake mean? You say it very sincerely, like he was a dick.
He's a mean man.
So you're not friendly with him now?
So put it like this. Every year, I wait for a message on my phone to say congratulations from this man. I've been looking for it for 7 years. He remembers my sobriety date every year.
How do you know?
Because he sends me an emoji.
What's the emoji?
It's a thumbs up emoji.
It'd be funny if he sent you the shit emoji.
He sends me the thumb up emoji every year. And for me, it's like, motherfucker, you can't say congratulations.
It's beyond that. Fuck that thumbs up emoji.
Yeah.
That's that's a fuck you.
Yes.
The thumbs up might as well be a middle finger.
Exactly.
How dare he send, of all the emojis, to send the thumbs up.
And I asked him one year, I think it was for my 5th year, which was a big year for me. He sent me it, and I texted him. I was like, wow, man, all these years, you remember every single year, and you give me the same emoji 5 years in a row. You know what I mean? And his response was, what do you want me to congratulate you on? doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And then I look at that and I'm like,
Fair enough.
you know, it's true.
Right.
I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just a normal, productive member of society.
Right. And it's like, I just posted my 7 years and I lived for the likes. I lived for the adulation.
Yeah.
You know, I just posted the fucking 8 million downloads. I'm like, there's not enough likes. It's sick because it's like we want love. We want appreciation.
For sure.
And it's also just a little bit high.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all that shit makes me a little bit high.
Oh, yeah.
The love and the appreciation.
Of course, yeah.
And like,
feels good.
it does. It's interesting. It's like, don't we deserve good things or do they fuck us up too much?
I know.
You know? Well, this wasn't so scary for you, was it?
No, it wasn't scary. I enjoyed it, actually.
You did?
Setup is wild.
What do you mean, actually?
I know, because, you know, you have certain thoughts coming into it. I knew, we vibe good together. But, like, the setup is wild.
Break it down.
This is it's a table. It's a huge table just filled with the most random shit on it you could imagine.
Tell them what you see. Paint a picture.
Books here. I see a newspaper, a book bag with all types of equipment, candles.
Those are Dopey candles.
Yeah, those are pretty
You
cool.
can buy the Dopey candles at dopeypodcast.com or at northavecandlecompany.com/collection/dopey.
There you go. Vases, plants, just a pile of paperwork.
I
But a
know.
great view, I say. A great view.
And how about the equipment dying but having the backup?
Yeah.
Were you
that's
impressed
clutch.
with
that was impressive.
You were shocked.
Because after the
Roadcaster.
Yeah, after that went down, I was like, oh, well, I guess we're done.
Dave's gonna have to text me every
Yeah.
day for another 3 weeks.
But no, it was fun. Me sharing my experience with your fan base. It's like, we're kind of cross promoting both ways, which is good.
Jerry, thank you for coming. I'm sorry I had to harangue you so hardcore. You feel good.
Feel great.
Is there anything you want to say? Is there any stone unturned?
Yeah, I just feel like,
Check out Friend of Jerry.
See, I don't know what your fan base is like. They're sober and shit like that?
Yeah, it's a mix.
It's a mix.
It's a wintry mix.
Yeah, so, for me, the biggest thing was, right now to this day is I enjoy all the little moments.
Yeah.
All the little things.
Like this one.
Yes, you enjoy the little moments, and then I've noticed over the years, you look back and you realize, in fact, they were actually big moments.
Nice.
So I enjoy all the little moments in life.
Well, Jerry, I can't thank you enough. I'm sorry I fucking harassed you. It's too much.
Great. We'll do it again.
We'll do it again. Next time we'll do it at the famous Barstool Sports.
Yes. You'll come back on. That'll be fun.
All right. Thanks, Jerry.
You got it.
So that was Jersey Jerry from Barstool Sports. He has a podcast called Friend of Jerry. So check that out, even though it's kind of a rival to Dopey. But tell me what you thought of Jerry. Send in an email. Jerry had a pretty tough life, I think. An interesting upbringing. And we have a special guest who wants to call into the show. So I'm just going to call him. Hold on. Here we go.
Hello?
You're on the show. Welcome back.
What?
Welcome back to the show.
Oh, okay. Wait, is that really your voice?
This is really my voice.
Something you sound like a robot.
I'm sick. And ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back Ray Brown to the show. Welcome back.
I forgot yours. Thank you.
I'm fucking
Nice to be back.
I'm fucking sick.
I forgot you were sick, and I was like, "What's going on with your voice?"
What does it sound like? I thought it sounded pretty normal.
Well, it sounded like you were playing a recording of your voice, and also you had called me like 3 times and hung up in the past minute.
I know it's because I'm struggling with my technology a little bit.
Your telephone?
No, with the stupid because the other Roadcaster broke, so I had to buy a new Roadcaster, and all the connections on the new Roadcaster are that USB-C connect instead of the USB connect or the normal.
Yeah, they want to make more money by making you buy all this shit.
Yeah, but those USB-C phone chargers are way better than the regular phone chargers. Do you ever use those?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, but I know that Apple changed all their stuff, and I had to get adapters for my microphone and my recording stuff.
What kind of a phone do you have?
iPhone.
What number?
8.
Yeah, you're fine. You're in the Stone Ages, Ray Brown. So I don't remember the last time you came on the show, But people are asking me about you. Do you know that?
Yeah, I've heard that. I remember I came over for lunch. We had lunch together recently.
What do you think? I'm senile? Of course I remember, but I didn't use that on the show because it got all fucked up.
We recorded it and then it wasn't working, and so I listened to that. Are we doing Carney Wilson?
No, we're not.
Is that today?
No, you're just calling in to say hi and say.
Oh, okay.
And say how excited you are to come to DopeyCon.
I went to the church yesterday.
What did you learn at the church? Like it?
What did I learn?
Did you like the church?
I've been walking by that church a lot lately. It's been on my way to various things I'm doing.
Do you know?
It's a cool church. That church is new. It burned down. You were there when it burned down, right?
Only the back of it burned down.
The
main
steeple
room, the steeple remained. The back of it burned down. The front of it did not burn down.
I lived in Chelsea when it burned down.
The back, though, it's not the whole church.
Yeah. What's weird is how much you and I lived across the street from each other for like years. You were like a kid.
Yes.
But I was thinking about the specials at whatever that club is. I wonder if we were there on the same night.
What, the Terminal 5? The Terminal 5 special show?
Yeah, 420. Were you there 420 or 421?
I'm gonna guess I was there 420. I don't do things on 421. I do things on 420, Ray Brown.
Where were you standing?
I was all over the place at that. I danced. I was all over the place at that show. I even ran into my ex-girlfriend from California at that show.
Really?
Which was very uncomfortable.
That was maybe the best show I've ever seen. Either Cheap Trick or Specials. It was just electric.
You ready for this, Ray Brown? Are you ready for this?
What's that? What?
Me and Linda went to see Roger Waters this week. Maybe better than the Specials in 2010.
Well, that's so weird because I saw a video from the show this morning, and then when I was going to lunch, I saw a poster and it said The Garden. I'm like, oh, and I almost took a picture and sent it to you. Yeah, it's a cool stage he did. It reminded me of the Dre's Super Bowl stage. It was just very minimalistic, and what I saw, there was only white lighting. There was no other lighting.
Roger Waters was incredible. I didn't think it was even going to be good. I thought the whole time all I was going to do is wish Dave Gilmour was there. But Roger Waters was he can sing. He's in great shape.
Yeah, no, he looks good. He's 75 or so?
Yeah, he's in much better shape than I am at 75. Like he looks great.
Yeah, he looked good.
Like Linda was like,
and he hired.
Linda was like, I think I have a crush on Roger Waters.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay. But you don't like old guys though.
And he hired a guy that can play just like Gilmour.
And like he opened with Comfortably Numb, right? He opens with Comfortably Numb and he sings it to kind of get it out of the way. Because like he can't pull it off. You know what I mean? He just can't. Yeah. He can't do it. But there was a lot of political shit in there, like a lot of political shit. Like
I know. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I mean, that's his choice, but like he's alienating however percentage of his fans by doing that. He's been doing that for years. He's been very political for like almost his whole career.
When we went to see him, right? The whole like Madison Square Garden, it's just like cops and contractors and firemen. Yeah. It's all those people who live where I live. And when he wasn't playing Pink Floyd songs, they were screaming at the top of their lungs at him.
Oh, shit.
It was like almost a riot. I saw like,
wow.
The funniest thing is that the security at Madison Square Garden is the same security from 20 years ago. Like it's the same guys, but they're just older and fatter.
They're aging out.
And like I saw like 20 of them rush some dude and take him out of the garden. And it was crazy. And it was intense though. And Roger Waters, he opened the second act. He opened after intermission. He played "So Ya Thought Ya Might Like to Go to the Show," and it was great. It was great. It was so much fun.
How much were the tickets?
I don't know. I just had Linda buy the tickets. But we have a deal. Like we don't ever spend more than like $100 on a ticket. So we were way up. We were in the nosebleeds, but it was the stage was so cool that it felt like we were right there.
Oh, it was in the round, right?
It was in the round. 100%.
I just looked at some tickets I just randomly looked at tickets. They're like $500 for some of these, $1,000.
My sponsee,
Springsteen.
my sponsee went the second night, and he spent like $45 on his ticket.
Oh, wow, that's really cheap.
Now, Ray Brown, you haven't been on the show in a long time. Is there any? I mean, you're going to be on the show again soon. Is there anything you'd like to share? People want to know what's happened to you, what's going on.
Oh, I thought this was good. I didn't know it was going on again.
Oh yeah, you're coming on again and again.
No, there's nothing I'd like to share. Everything's fine. Nothing I'm going to share.
You're not going to share anything. You're just going to talk about the specials, Roger Waters. Okay, so let me ask you this, Ray Brown, real quick. Are you excited for DopeyCon? I see you posting a lot in Dopey Nation. It looks like you're excited.
Yeah, I went crazy in Dopey Nation posting. Well, that's such a great photo. I took that one. I walked in the door from the first DopeyCon, and I took that photo of me with the black and white cookie, which I'd never had a black and white cookie before, and I'm not a fan. I did not like it.
All right, just relax, Ray. Just you don't need to say you're not going to share on Dopey and you don't like black and white cookies in your first return episode. But real quick, I want to tell you about something. Okay, you ready?
What?
Okay. For DopeyCon, there is a contest. Okay, it's the dope. What?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I know about it, but go ahead.
So why don't you tell the crowd about it if you know about it? Well, if you need to interrupt me and say you know about it, why don't you introduce the contest?
I found out about it like this morning or something, last night.
Who told you about it?
Nobody told me. I read it somewhere.
What are you talking? What are you reading? It is in Daily News, a DopeyCon contest.
It was in the Daily News.
So what have you learned about this DopeyCon contest?
It was on the Dopey Facebook page.
So what have you learned?
Somebody's going to write a song and get $500 in hotel and airfare.
$500 in hotel and travel. And Ray Brown, even though you're in New York, maybe you should write the DopeyCon theme song.
That would be really terrible. If
but you can donate it to somebody who doesn't have your musicianship skills.
Okay, I've already done it. Somebody can take my song already. This Dopey Podcast.
No, you've written two songs. You've written two amazing Dopey songs, one of which was about DopeyCon too.
Yeah, I wrote DopeyCon too.
So maybe you should donate a Dopey song, and then you can fly out a lucky dope.
Okay. You want to? So if somebody wants me to do that, write to me. Yeah. And
message Ray Brown. He's in Dopey Nation on Facebook.
And so it'll be anonymous. Nobody will know that it's my song. They'll present it as this is a song I wrote. But
how does that work?
Because whoever sends that song in will say it's their song.
I know, but it'll be you singing it, you dum-dum.
Oh no, they're gonna sing it.
But then so you're gonna send them a karaoke track.
I could do that.
Because they can't play.
But sure they can. I could send them like a guide vocal with piano.
But one of them, okay, so you're going to send them a karaoke track and they'll never know that it was a Ray Brown original.
Yeah, right.
All right, great. Now,
they might all the submissions might be Ray Brown songs.
Let's hope so. I'm about to start writing and sending some shit out. I have one submission so far.
Tell them, write to Brer. Have Brer do it.
No, Brer's the house band for the show.
He's the whole band?
Him and Takeif.
Oh, shit.
Takeif, okay. A.K.A. Tony Mansions is his new name.
I've heard about that.
All right. Now, before you go, considering you don't want to share anything or tell any stories, I'm going to read you an email. You ready?
Okay.
That's a nice okay. You ready for the email, Ray Brown?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's hear it.
This is a guy named Eamon. Hey guys, I've been listening to you guys for about a year now, and you've helped me through a couple rough patches. I never knew I wanted to 69 a guy before, but when I heard, I'm sorry. I've abused oxys, hydros, DXM, Adderall, weed, alcohol. I crashed my car on acid a year ago. Nightmare trips, K-holes, and for a while now, I've been done using DXM, which is like cough medicine. Just looking at it in the store makes me sick, thinking about all the pills I would take at once. But now that feeling has gone away, and every second of every day I think about getting high or heavier than weed, including texting old dealers and thinking about approaching other dope heads on the street. My mom knows about my problems, but not all of it, and they want to get me in therapy, although I'm on antidepressants. But that doesn't feel like it's going to stop this fire that's building. My mom has seen me fucked up on numerous occasions, crying and having to drive me to work since I could hardly talk. And I don't want her or my girlfriend to be upset. So I've been going behind their backs trying to get a hold of anything I can. I guess they want advice, but he doesn't say that they want advice. That's the whole message. But the subject is relapse advice. So do you have any relapse advice, Ray?
It sounds like he needs to talk to somebody that's not his girlfriend or his wife.
Or his mom.
I mean his mom. Sounds like he's in trouble and he knows it, and he's sort of asking you for help. He is asking you for help. I don't know. It sounds like he doesn't want to relapse, but he's going to if he doesn't reach out to somebody.
Right. Yeah. He's going to relapse.
That's a lot of drugs too. A lot of drugs.
Well, real quick, we just are sending somebody to treatment right now. So if you want to go to treatment and you're willing to do whatever the treatment tells you to do, write me. And and anyone out there who needs treatment and you're willing to do what the treatment asks you to do, and you're willing to go anywhere, not just to some luxury fucking spot in Southern California, write me and maybe we can get you some help. The other advice is go to a meeting. Do something. Yeah. Be active.
There's a meeting in every town. Every town has one. And raise your hand. And people will, if you raise your hand and you say what you just said in that email, somebody will come and try to help you. But he's willing, because just by writing to you, that's like a first step. He's willing.
He's showing some willingness.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear another email that I got from this kind of like OnlyFans sex worker stripper type? You want to hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I've been toying around with this for a while, so let me preface my dive into and current life in addiction. This is like the condensed version of my life that I wrote for Medium. But as you know, addiction takes you around shit normies don't get to experience. Let me jump around. 2001, my snorting cocaine and drinking as a teenage stripper turned to Percocet, and within 3 months, I had a needle in my arm. My first time shooting up, this girl was trying to shoot me up, getting directions from her boyfriend on the phone. I went super hard. I'm from Baltimore, and a big part of my addiction is the actual copping. Going to the hood, obviously, is a part of it. And I always tried desperately to get my dealers to let their guard down. I still do it. Most are so hard. I'm the white girl that wants to be best friends. Weird as fuck, I know, but it is what it is. I'm going somewhere with this. I became friends with this guy who is the reason I have panic attacks while watching Locked Up Abroad. He recruited me to go to Guatemala and bring a suitcase back. I'd get $5,000, and at that time, even to a stripper, going on vacation for 5 Gs was lit to me. I had no concept of consequences. I forgot to mention I also had a Xanax habit where in my head, the rules of the world didn't apply to me. I can talk about this because I've researched and the statute of limitations are up. So I fly out of JFK to El Salvador to Guatemala City. You went to Guatemala, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I smuggled some coffee from Guatemala.
All right, good. You could write an email. I land in the airport. That was what you'd picture an airport in Guatemala would look like. Although looking at recent photos of it, it definitely looks more modernized, and the only thing that looks familiar is the parking lot. This was over 29 years ago, too. All these feral children around offering to carry my bags. I'm the only blonde for miles, mind you, and I'm dope sick as fuck. The guy who sent me said to ask for coffee. My driver picked me up, I get to the hotel, and I'm begging for coffee. This guy brings me a legit coffee. Oh, he says to ask for coffee as dope. All right. I started slapping the inside of my elbow, like mimicking shooting up. So the guy says, I'll be back. I'm thinking, thank God I'm going to be okay. So he comes with a plastic grocery bag about halfway filled with cocaine. I don't know about y'all, but the thought of coke when I'm ill makes me sicker. So there's about another hour of charades and being lost in translation. And the guy says, oh, Chiva, that's not going to be in until Saturday night. Mind you, it's Thursday night. So I'm freaking out in this bed in a motel in Guatemala, kicking. Next day, I get shuffled into a car, and I have no fucking idea where we are going. Long ass ride, about 3 hours outside of Guatemala City, curving roads around a mountain, driving through what looked like a jungle farm country part of Guatemala. Poverty, and not American poverty, like third world poverty. So we're driving and get pulled over. She actually wrote second world poverty, but I'm assuming she means third world poverty. So we're driving and I get pulled over. I'm up front, still sick as fuck. The driver has this huge gun in the center console. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking the fuck out. Like, not only am I ill, but I'm thinking I'm going to end up in fucking jail in a foreign country. The guy, let's call him Carlos, starts laughing at me because I'm hyperventilating and saying I'm too sick to go to jail. He says the guy in the back, while pointing at me, she thinks she's going to jail. Ha, 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 ha. At this point, I'm confused, lost, and fucking scared. Police didn't even make it to the door. Carlos pulls out a wad of cash, says something in Spanish to him, and we are back on the road. Ha, ha, ha. Jokes on the American. How could I not know most cops are corrupt? But in Guatemala, it's just as normal as paying a fine. It's not organized. You just pay the cops to go away when you have money. Cool. So we get to this town that looks like a Spanish bar party area. Carlos left me in the car for like an hour, and when you're ill, every minute feels like an hour. So he gets back and he's walking, and I'm throwing up the yellow bile all dope fiends are familiar with. He looks at me surprised, like he didn't know I was sick all day. So we get to this little bazaar type area with stalls. Well, one of the stalls was a drugstore of sorts. He tells me to write down what I need. So I wrote Percocet, Oxycontin, Valium, Xanax, everything I thought would make me well. So I get no opiates, but I get Valium and Halcyon, which I've never heard of, but it's like a cooler version of Xanax, which I also started to get benzo sick as well. And that is, in my opinion, worse than dope sick. So these pills come in blister packs. I get to my hotel and ate 10 yellow Valiums and 5 Halcyons. I knock out and wake up to a bullfrog on my leg. To this day, I think it was a hallucination. Carlos comes in with a big smile, a big steroid-type needle, and a big bag of dope. I didn't bother with the needle. Carlos said it was pure, and I really didn't need a needle. So I inhaled a nice-sized line, instantly black out. Not an OD because I woke up, but probably knocked on death's door. So I'm well now. I got to do something. I'm staying at a motel being guarded by a guy with Uzis. I walk around and see a pool. Cool, I'll go swimming. Well, you see my pics. I'm blonde and all tits. I ask Carlos to get me a bathing suit. He brings me back a teeny bikini. The top legit were nipple covers. Fuck it, I'm swimming. The entire whole hotel staff was watching me swim. So fucking weird, but I'm still the most different looking chick for miles. The next few days are a blur of getting high, popping pills, snorting speedballs. I get super high on coke one night and I call my mom and tell her I'm in Guatemala. Obviously, she flips, calls the guy that sent me. I don't know what happened on that call till I got back, but I knew shit wasn't good when Carlos comes to my room with his homeboy, takes all my stuff, my digital camera, my Motorola Razr didn't work back then. It was before smartphones. When I talked to my mom, she told me who sent me. If you don't bring my daughter back, I'm calling the police. My mom is like the king of all Karens. Well, dude told her, if you don't apologize to me right now, you'll never see your daughter again. She's the type that don't apologize for shit. And to a drug dealer, what? But she did. Well, the guy called Carlos, and that's around the time Carlos confiscated my things from the room. I made a note to self, don't do pure cocaine in a foreign country you're about to smuggle shit out of. And especially don't call your mom while there and go on a coke rant to her. Matter of fact, don't ever call your mom on drugs or from a foreign country you're about to take a penitentiary chances in. So on to said chances. The day I'm getting on the plane, I don't have my suitcase, and Carlos is telling me you'll get it back before you walk into the airport, but I didn't get my digital camera back. 3 hours over the river and through the jungle to Guatemala City International Airport we go. So we pull up. I have a professional pink blazer and matching pants. I looked like a teacher. The same beggar-looking kids walked up to my suitcase. So weird. I still don't know the extent of what I'm doing. I knew I wasn't on the up and up, but I don't know. And I didn't want to know. I still am like, the less I know, the better I am. Kind of like ignorance is bliss. Not with everything, but this counted as one of those times. I actually walked through the airport with ease because at least in Guatemala, everything was taken care of. JFK would be the true test, but I was ready. I had my story of teaching English to Guatemalan children, and I was riding on Xanax confidence. Made it through, passport stamped. My guy was staying at a hotel in Queens, took a cab there, and I saw what the trip amounted to, and it was a lot, but it didn't scare me yet. I went 4 more times. The last time I went with another guy, too. I came back first. He didn't make it through JFK. From that point on, every time I'd go on vacation, which was a lot because I had an amazing sugar daddy back then, I'd get searched hard. My passport was flagged. So either my name was brought up to the guy that got caught or they just decided to flag it, but I have my suspicions. I'm still using and hoeing, just not vacationing in Guatemala. I've got stories for days. This is just the one. I really had my guardian angel working overtime. If you want to hear more, let me know. XOXO all night, Nikki.
Oh, she should write a book.
What do you think? I figured you'd like that one.
Well, I had this, I didn't smuggle drugs, but I landed at the airport and then your jaw drops it's just crazy. And I had a driver waiting for me with my name, a piece of paper, because they say don't get into a cab because sometimes they'll just take you somewhere and rob you. So I get in the car and then I'm like, wait, he could have seen somebody else with my name and written that out, and now he's got me. But then we went over from Guatemala City to Panajachel, and then at some point, there's robberies on the highway, and there's these guys with machine guns, and they're telling the car to stop. And I'm like, oh shit, this is it. And the bridge had washed away, and so you couldn't go any further. So I had to get out and crawl across the remains of the bridge. The driver turned around. And then I walked to Panajachel, but I was sure I was going to be shot at that point. I loved Guatemala. It was so great.
But you smuggled coffee out, not Coke.
I was coming back and I was like, I should bring back coffee. And then at customs, they're like, do you have anything organic or whatever? I'm like, no.
But you weren't all tits and you didn't have a pink suit and a briefcase full of Coke.
No, just 2 bags of coffee.
So Ray, what did you see? What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
When you see that, because they're making coffee all over the town I was in, and they lay it out to dry, and then dogs walk in there and shit in the middle of all the coffee, and I'm like, I hope they clean that out.
That's what makes the Guatemalan coffee so special.
That's the secret spice.
Did you see that at DopeyCon, TJ, a.k.a. Butchie, is giving a walking tour of New York?
I sort of saw that. I saw that people were doing that. I didn't know. Was that Butchie?
Yeah, that's Butchie.
I didn't know Butchie was doing it. Butchie and I are not friends on Facebook. I didn't know Butchie's real name. And I saw that, and I sent him a friend request yesterday.
I'm sure he would love to have you on that walking tour.
Oh yeah, I'll go on.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in. Was it amazing to be back on the show?
It was amazing.
Next time you got to tell something. You got to say something. We heard this crazy OnlyFans cocaine smuggling story because I knew you'd get a kick out of it.
That girl's lucky.
Yeah. Well, she seems like she's struggling. So all night, Nikki, if you're listening, go to a fucking meeting, go to treatment.
Yeah.
Do something.
Don't do drugs.
All right. Thanks, Ray.
Okay, bye.
All right. So we just had Ray on the show, and I wanted to end the show with my dad. I've had him on a lot lately. Dad, how are you?
I'm lying on the heating pad. I just drove back up to the lake, and it's hurting. It's hurting badly. So I'm on a heating pad, hoping it's going to get better soon.
As the chief critic of Dopey, do you think you've been on the show too much lately?
Absolutely. Yes. Give the audience a break. Yes. Give the Dopey Nation a rest from hearing about my complaints. Yeah. Yes. But anyway, you got me on again, though, right now, right?
Well, you told me a funny story, and I wanted the Dopey Nation to hear the story.
Yeah, it was really funny. Do you want to set it up, or you want me to tell the version?
Okay. So on Patreon right now, we have this pop singer named Kavanagh, who's from England, and he was a pop star in when he was a teenager. He's a big Dopey fan. He I did a video with him. It's going to be on YouTube eventually, but it's on Dopey Patreon right now. And he tells a really crazy Amy Winehouse story, but he also told a story about getting fired at McDonald's. So now, Dad, explain your part of the story.
Right. So he was talking with David about getting fired, and the reason why he got fired is because there's a bin in McDonald's where they put away the McDonald's stuff that's too old or something, and he reached into the bin to pull out fillet of fish because he was starving, and they fired him for doing that. And then David said, "Wow, fillet of fish is my dad's favorite, and I bet you he's eating one right now." And it turns out that I had come home. I taught on Wednesday, and I went to the doctor, and I came home feeling sorry for myself, and I bought 2 fish fillets and a medium fries, and I was eating it. It was
and you were
really
listening to you were watching the Patreon episode, or you were listening to it?
I saw it. I saw that you were going to interview him, and then the next day I played it, and yeah. So when he said, when you said I was eating fillet of fish, actually the day before I really was.
But you weren't.
But again,
you were
I only
not.
had
Hold
one
on.
full lunch. Yeah.
You were not eating the fillet of fish when we were talking about it. You didn't listen to it while you were eating it.
No.
Yeah, that ruins this whole story, Dad. Who cares? Why not? Why not?
It was close. It was close.
All right. Now, before.
Well, thank goodness you weren't in the house, because I only had one for lunch and I saved the second one for dinner, and you probably would have stolen it from me.
No, I think saving a fillet of fish is sadder than saving an egg roll, and it puts you more on the Jewish shut-ins of Penn South list. That you're saving McDonald's.
No, I think it shows how healthy I am that I got filled up at lunch with I did have the French fries. I got filled up with the 1 fillet of fish and French fries, which never would have happened in the past. And then at night, I had the second fillet of fish with some coleslaw. I don't know what else I had.
How did you heat it up?
In a microwave. No, not too much.
There's nothing. Listen, the word healthy and this story do not go hand in hand. Stop. Listen. Stop doubling down on fast food and putting it in the fridge. Eat healthy food. You're gonna kill yourself.
Yeah. Well, I got into more trouble by heating tea in the microwave when the British people were upset with that. So that I think that I got into more trouble with that instead of brewing tea, I guess, the proper way.
Listen, that's nothing compared to the fact that you're saving fast food fish fillets for the next day of lunch. It makes me very worried.
No, it was that night.
So you had one for lunch and you saved the second one for dinner.
Exactly.
You hear how sick I am?
Yeah, you sound, yeah. You're not feeling any better?
No, I feel terrible. And I just... I've become obsessive compulsive with making the show 2 hours, which is why I had Ray on and I have you on. Just because of my OCD.
Why? Yeah. How come? Why are you thinking you need to have it as 2 hours?
I like it. It makes me feel like it's impressive, and people like it. People listen to the end of the show. You listen to the end of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
well, what did you think about that? The Kavanaugh is only on Patreon, though, right?
Did you like it?
Yeah, but I remember I watched the video, but you also have it for audio for those people, right, who are working and everything.
Yes, it's on audio and video on Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/Dopey Podcast. And Dad, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited for DopeyCon are you?
Well, I think there's a bunch of people coming.
No. On a scale of 1 to 10. How excited for DopeyCon are you?
I'm going to say 10.
Really?
Yeah, listen, this is a big deal.
Nice.
It really is a big deal. I mean, you're certainly putting in enough effort. I just hope you have the show programmed properly so that you keep it moving and all that stuff.
All right. Thanks, Dad. That's great. Thank you. Now, before you go, because Lord knows we need to end this show, I'm going to read a review and you can comment. You ready?
Okay.
Also, I heard back. Remember last week you read a review from Strain Canes, and I said he makes he makes what do you call it? Canes out of marijuana resin.
Yeah.
It turns out he
Yeah.
makes it out of actual marijuana plants. And he wrote me a note. I'm going to read you what he wrote me. He said, "Thanks for the shout out on your show. As a result, people reached out to me in this small town I live in to say they listened to Dopey as well and heard you read a portion of my story. That's awesome. It's crazy how many Dopey Nation dopes are out there. Just to be clear, Dave, the walking stick I'm making for you is not resin. It is actually the stock of the plant. The marijuana plant grows and produces buds, and sometimes these plants grow very big. I take the plant when I'm done growing and make it into a walking stick. It is the actual main stock of the cannabis plant. Go to my website to see what I'm talking about. You can't have a walking stick without going to my website and understanding what a strain cane is. Anyway, have a good day and toodles for Chris." Fuck. So that means I have to go to the website right now. Hold on for 1 sec, Daddy.
Well,
I want a walking stick.
No, that's nice.
I think
nice.
you need the
I'm
walking
so-
stick more than I do.
I think that's true. Yes. Yeah, I think I do. At least to beat off the dogs around here. That's one other reason for it. Yeah. So So what's the
His hold on. His website isn't coming up. Let me see. Strain canes. Here we go. Walking sticks. Oh, these sticks are beautiful. It's at www.straincanes.com. Listen, fucking Strain Canes, send me a nice walking stick. They look really nice. And maybe if you have an extra one, you can send it to my infirmed fillet of fish eating father. So yeah, and I'm going to read your story on Patreon, or unless you want to make a shorter one. His story is so long. Yeah, give me a shorter one or send it in a voicemail, and please, I want the fucking Strain Cane walking stick for sure. And you want one too, Dad, or no?
Well, look, don't push the issue.
All right, send one, and I'll let my dad use it. That's fine. Here we go. This is the newest review. It's from Irregular Cycle. It says, Dopey builds empathy. I'm a child and grandchild of alcoholics and drug addicts who have had several substance abuser partners without having addiction issues myself. My generational trauma expresses itself in other ways. This podcast helps me understand and empathize with their behavior when it can be very painful to see them self-destruct and not be able to stop it. So Dopey is a therapeutic listen. Plus, the guests are often very interesting. My favorites are usually the old school New Yorkers, but the Gabor Mate episode was really insightful. And I'll read one more. This is from Tom WAC. He says, funny and really real. Sincerely funny, heart-wrenching, and a significant contributor to the time I have. Thanks for inviting me along the journey. So what's your comment on these reviews before we go?
No, very, very good. But the guy who made the cane says that there were a bunch of people in town that listened to Dopey also. That's really, that's fantastic. I'm surprised that there was nobody in my class that mentioned anything, about Dopey or something. But right now, I'm still anonymous in the class, which is good. Very good.
Well, I mean, nobody encounters me with Dopey ever, so whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and it's doing good, and hopefully we'll get a walking stick for you, and I'm glad you're excited about DopeyCon. I'm excited about DopeyCon too. If you want to come and see my very excited dad and play Win Alan's Money, go to Dopey.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't think we're doing that. I thought you came up with a better prize.
Oh, you're going to give them the tour of your apartment?
No, that was the worst prize. No, I thought you were going to give them what do you call it? One of the merch.
Okay.
Something.
You're going to get something, and we're going to call the game Win Alan's Money. Anyway, all right, Dad. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for telling your fillet of fish story. I hope the heating pad works. I got to go lie down and watch TV.
All right. I hope you feel better. All right. Love, Davey. Okay. And toodles for Chris.
All right, thanks, Dad. I love you too. Stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris. And Ray Brown was on the show today too.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Nice. So, and he's coming, right? He's coming to DopeyCon.
He's coming. So, thank you, Dad. Good night. Good luck. Goodbye, everybody.
What's up, Dave and Chris? My name's Jake. I'm 25 years old from West Virginia. I just found Dopey about 2 weeks ago, and it's my favorite podcast of all time. Y'all are hilarious, and it's just gotten me through some really hard times, and though I'm not clean myself, you know, it gives me a lot of hope for the future. I really like Dave's song, and I'm going to do a little cover of it here on my banjo. Hope y'all don't mind too much. I wrote a third verse myself. Sorry about the poor quality. It's just on my phone. And, sorry about the banjos. Things hard to keep in tune. Wanna take a walk around the world. Wonder would it do me any good? Till I get some honey in my pockets, and I guess I'll just have to walk around my neighborhood. I wanna be good so bad. Wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. Wanna take a ride up in the sky. Watch as airplanes just passing by. And I wanna see a Lear jetliner take a dive, just to show all of these people what it means to be alive. I wanna be good so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. In my burned out basement listening to the Dopey show. Only friends I had are on this little radio. I keep checking on my pulse because it feels like I might die. But the thought of straightening up sounds so much better when you're high. And I wanna be good so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. Well, I hope y'all hear this. Makes it through the big inbox of emails. Feel free to play a clip on the show if you want. If not, I know it kind of sucks. Alright, really appreciate it. Thanks, y'all.